My name is Olivia, and I'm 40 years old. I've been married to my husband, Michael, who is the same age as me and was my coworker for 10 years. Right now, we work in different offices, but we used to be in the same department. Michael is a very responsible person, admired by his colleagues. He likes to act strong and doesn't like showing weakness. He's confident and ambitious, and his bosses expect him to get promoted soon. I'm more low-key and tend to blend into the background. So I was surprised when Michael showed interest in me. After dating for 2 years, he proposed with a big bouquet of roses. I'd never been loved like that before, so I happily said yes. I was excited about our future together, but then came a surprise: we would be living with his parents. I didn't want to because we hadn't discussed it, but Michael insisted, saying his parents were good people and were looking forward to living with me. In the end, I agreed, and for the past 10 years, I've been living with my in-laws at his family's house. Life there turned out to be nothing like what I imagined. For example, after I finish making breakfast for everyone, my mother-in-law starts nagging me. "Olivia, you forgot to clean the front door in, didn't you?" Even though I'm about to leave for work, she treats me like a servant. Since moving in, I've had to wake up at 5 a.m. every day to cook and clean. She stays at home but doesn't do any housework herself, even though she has plenty of time. I rush through my morning chores, head to work, and as soon as I get home, I start making dinner. By the time I go to bed, I'm so exhausted that I fall asleep right away. This has been my routine for a long time, and I often feel unwell from being so tired. I think the stress is affecting my health. My mother-in-law relaxes in the living room, enjoying the breakfast I made. She reminds me, "You're going to be late for work if you don't hurry." Even though she sees all this, my husband never stands up for me, and my father-in-law pretends not to notice, hiding behind his newspaper. Since moving in with my husband's family, I've been treated poorly. The stress has caused me to lose weight and look unhealthy. "You're too skinny and unattractive. That's why you can't have a baby," my mother-in-law says. I lost a lot of weight suddenly, and my period stopped, making it hard for me to get pregnant. Despite this being her fault, I'm still blamed. Before I got married, I was healthy and took care of myself, but now I feel completely different. I'm constantly depressed from my mother-in-law's harassment and from seeing my changing appearance in the mirror. I've become so submissive to her that I don't even want to leave the house anymore. Then I received devastating news. My father had died in an accident. I hadn't visited my family in a long time because my husband and mother-in-law would criticize me whenever I wanted to go. After hearing about my father's death, I regretted not spending more time with him. My family home is only about an hour away, so I asked my husband and mother-in-law to come to the funeral. "There's going to be a funeral for my father." It cut me off, saying, "We're not going. Let your family handle it." I was shocked at their heartlessness, feeling angry and hurt. At the funeral, many people came to pay their respects. My father was well-liked and had many connections, so it was clear how much he was loved. When my mother saw me, she was shocked at how much weight I had lost and how worn out I looked. "Are you sick? I couldn't bear to lose you too," my mother said, crying. Given how she was feeling after my father's death, it wasn't surprising. "I'm not sick. Don't worry," I reassured her. I took a break in the waiting room and thought about my husband and mother-in-law. They didn't say anything comforting when I told them about my father's death, which made me angry. I decided to tell my mother about my life with my in-laws. "Actually, I've been bullied by my mother-in-law. It's wearing me out," I admitted. My mother looked worried. "I'm relieved you're not sick, but this doesn't make me feel better. Is that why you haven't come to see me?" "Yes," I nodded. She handed me a piece of paper. "Take a look at this and think carefully about what to do next." When I looked at the paper, I realized it was my father's will. He had prepared one in case something happened. It mentioned an inheritance of $2 million. I was shocked by the amount. Suddenly, I felt hope that I could leave my in-laws' house. With this money, I could build my own home and escape my current situation. My life seemed to brighten. When I returned to my in-laws' home, I did my usual chores, thinking about the $2 million. Despite my feelings about my mother-in-law, I wanted to stay with my husband, Michael. I decided to talk to him about the inheritance and suggest leaving his parents' home. There's something I want to discuss, I said when Michael's parents had gone to bed. It's about my father. I've come into an inheritance. Oh, how much? He asked. It's $2 million, I replied. He looked shocked, probably because it was more than he expected. Wait, what? $2 million, Michael said, his eyes wide. That's generous, but what are we going to do with the money? I was about to get to the main point when I saw Michael in a good mood, but before I could speak, he made a surprising suggestion. We need to transfer the money to my mom's bank account right away. I was confused and thought he was joking. No way, it's my inheritance, so that's not right, I laughed. Suddenly, Michael slammed the table in anger. What are you talking about? A wife's money belongs to her mother-in-law. He seemed serious, which scared me. I'm sorry, but I don't understand. I just wanted to suggest building a house for us, I said, but Michael wouldn't let me speak and tried to take my inheritance for his mother. That night, I couldn't sleep because I was in shock. The next morning, while I was making breakfast, Michael and my mother-in-law came to me looking angry. Olivia, I heard about your $2 million. You said you won't give it to me. Who do you think you are as a daughter-in-law? My mother-in-law had heard about the inheritance from Michael, but I was the one who inherited it. Stop arguing and transfer it to my parents' account now. A daughter-in-law's money is our money, they insisted. They were determined to get the inheritance, no matter what I said. When I went silent, realizing I couldn't fight them, Michael showed me a piece of paper. We're getting carried away because of the money. I've been supporting you. If you don't change your attitude, I'll divorce you. It was a divorce form he had already signed. Take this and go back to your parents' house. If you apologize properly, I might reconsider the divorce. I looked at the divorce form that Michael had filled out completely. As I stared at it, memories flooded back. I realized I had never been financially supported in this house. I paid the same living expenses as Michael, and I did all the housework without any help. Despite this, they always looked down on me, and now they were trying to take my father's money. I felt pressured to give them my inheritance, but this money was left to me by my father. Being told to go back home felt like an opportunity. Holding the divorce papers, I understood that my future was in my hands. I decided I would never give away my father's inheritance and made up my mind to go back home after work. When I got home, my mother greeted me with a warm smile. She had prepared a delicious home-cooked meal, and as I took a bite, tears filled my eyes from its tastiness. I hadn't enjoyed a meal like this in a long time. Yes, I told my husband about the inheritance, and it caused a big fuss. I explained. My mother listened in shock. The inheritance is yours, and you decide your future. She comforted me as I cried. After staying with my parents for a week, I decided to return to my in-laws. I felt refreshed and no longer afraid. When I arrived, my husband and mother-in-law were waiting for me, arms crossed. I apologize. Please let me stay here again, I said, giving a fake apology. My mother-in-law smiled and said, now hand over the inheritance. I replied, actually, the inheritance process is taking a while. I haven't received it yet. It might take another 6 months. They seemed satisfied, thinking I would give them the money easily. However, they nagged me about going back to my parents' house for a week, saying I wasn't doing my duties as a wife and that the house was a mess. The house was indeed messy and dirty. After just a week, it was almost impressive how quickly they could make such a mess. Before, I would have been upset to see it like this, but now it didn't bother me at all. I did the housework as my mother-in-law ordered. When my mother-in-law's birthday came, she said, I'll be going on a trip. Keep the house clean. She always went on a trip for her birthday, and I was never invited. Have you received the inheritance yet? She asked. It's supposed to come today. I replied that $2 million is a present for you, so make sure to transfer it to Mom's account before you return. I thought it was too convenient that my mother-in-law's birthday matched the arrival of my inheritance. Without answering, I sent them off with a smile, saying, "Take care." As soon as they were gone, I started putting my plan into action. I had been waiting for this day for a long time, and I knew they would be surprised when they returned, but that was no longer my concern. I quickly packed my things and left my husband's family home. I was moving my belongings into my new house, which I had built with my father's inheritance. It felt amazing to live in such a beautiful place. I was so happy to be living with my mother again, and to be free from my in-laws. As I sank into my new plush sofa, I felt content. Today was a celebration with my mother. We had invited a chef, and were enjoying a luxurious day together. The next evening, I received a call from my ex-husband. "What the hell is going on?" he shouted. He probably didn't understand why all my belongings were gone. I told him, "I won't be coming back, goodbye." I tried to hang up, but my mother-in-law yelled from the other side, asking where I was. "I can't tell you that. You told me to clean the house, so I packed my things," I replied. "You also didn't transfer the inheritance. How many times do I have to say that the daughter-in-law's money is mine?" Then I added, "I'm single now, you know." There was silence on the other end. "I'm a divorcee," I said. "I submitted the divorce papers. I'm a stranger to you now. Goodbye." I hung up and couldn't help but laugh, imagining my mother-in-law's shocked face. I felt so relieved to be free from that family. After that, I got many calls from my ex-husband. When I had some free time, I purposely answered to ignore his insults. I recorded all those calls because I wanted to consult the police about the harassment. Thankfully, the police responded quickly and went to warn my ex-husband's family. Since my ex-husband was a prominent figure at his company, just having the police involved would hurt their public image. Soon, word got out in the neighborhood, and bad rumors about him started spreading, especially among his colleagues who didn't like him. Eventually, the rumors reached my department. "Did you hear the police came? I'm divorced now, so I don't really know much," I said loudly so others could hear. The gossip spread quickly, and it didn't take long for my ex-husband's boss to hear about it. "You've been getting a lot of bad rumors," he said. "What are you talking about? I hate men who can't appreciate and cherish their wives." My ex-husband's boss was furious. "With all these bad rumors going around, it'll hurt our reputation. I've decided to transfer you to your ex-husband's new position." The transfer order was tough. It sent him to a branch office in a rural area, the worst performing region with no entertainment around, a real dead end. This meant everything he had worked for was lost, and there was no chance for a promotion. He had no choice but to move there. As for my ex-mother-in-law, she was probably shocked that her son's reputation had plummeted and that she could no longer live with him. She became a recluse and developed depression, even showing signs of dementia because she caused disturbances at home. My ex-father-in-law was left to care for her, desperately trying to manage her drastic changes. Even though we weren't related by blood, I had once been an important part of their family. What happened to my former in-laws felt like karma for the harassment they had put me through. Now, I'm happy living with my mother. We've started gardening in our spacious yard, which is a hobby I would never have discovered if I were still with my ex. Gardening has brought me joy, and my body, worn out from stress, is now healthy again. I'm so grateful to have cut ties with my former in-laws.